Welcome back, everybody. This is the story about what if Naruto was abandoned by his family and was taken under Orochimaru? Before we start, I want you guys to like this video and hit the sub button, because that's what keeps me going. Now, without any further ado, start the story. Minato, this is a horrible plan, Hiruzen Sarutobi said as he was holding Naruto, whose eyes were open slightly as he seemed to look at the man who was holding him. He had black hair unlike his other siblings, Naruko and Menma. Menma had red hair while Naruko had yellow hair like her father. You can't just abandon one child so you can train the rest. I don't care if they have more tails of chakra sealed into them. He started yelling until little Naruto started crying. He bounced the child up and down to soothe the baby. There, child, old man Hiruzen has you. Minato sighed as he saw his oldest son in the Sarutobi's arms. I must Hiruzen, they need to learn how to control the tails of the Kyuubi.
I'm sorry.
Minato said. It was a hard choice to leave his son behind, but in his mind it was necessary. Come on, sensei, it'll only be a couple years. All they need to do is master the chakra. Tsunade reasoned. She decided to go with the family along with Jiraiya so she could help train the family. Then we'll come home and Naruto will be happy to meet his family. Too bad you're not God, Tsunade. I am. I still and never will agree with what you're doing, Minato. A voice said from behind Hiruzen. Minato looked over Hiruzen to see Orochimaru standing there. You are leaving your son for your other kids. Pathetic, he snarled. Orochimaru was a little sour because he lost the title of 4th Hokage to Minato, but he got over it quickly. Now you listen, Kushina began in a furious voice, only to be shut off by an equally furious voice. Orochimaru is right, Hiruzen said. You two are leaving your child alone for your other kids. It is pathetic. The baby started crying again as if he sensed the negative emotions. Hiruzen bounced him a little bit again. I will take care of little Naruto here as much as I can. I'm going to give him his own apartment that he can live in after he turns 8 from the orphanage. Minato began protesting but was cut off by Orochimaru. Hiruzen-sensei is right. He is acting Hokage now, not you, Minato. I only hope Naruto will forgive you in the future, he said before walking away. Come on, everyone, Minato said with a small scowl on his face. We have kids to raise. As do I, Hiruzen said, looking down warmly at the baby boy who was staring at the family leaving. The baby made a gurgling sound and clapped a little, but the gurgling sound sounded a lot like Baka's. 6 years later, Naruto ran into a nearby alley to get away from a few drunken chunin who were chasing him. This would happen at least once a week. The high score was 8. They would hunt him down and beat him up to a bloody pulp and leave him to die. But a person in an ANBU mask would always take him to the hospital after the beatings. Naruto didn't know why they beat on him, but they have been doing it ever since he was kicked out of the orphanage when he was 4. On his 5th birthday, he was with the 3rd Hokage helping with stamps and sorting things. He loved his Gigi dearly and would do anything to save his old bones, as Naruto would say it. He also liked his uncle Orochi as well. But his uncle Orochi was gone a lot of the time. But there was something about the beating he was about to receive, though. Today was his birthday, October 10th, the day the 9-tailed fox attacked the village and killed many people's families and friends. But they saw Naruto as the Kyuubi, and so they were going to take revenge. Naruto hid in the alley shaking in fear. The chunin that were chasing him were holding kunais and shuriken. One had a sword, but unlucky for Naruto, one was a censer. Hey guys, he's over here, he yelled as a small crowd of villagers and ninja alike came by. Naruto was grabbed by his black hair and threw against the wall. Please stop, he cried out only to get punched in the gut. Did you stop when you killed my little brother? Ha! A chunin said as it punched Naruto again. Pin the demon by his hands with a kunai so it can't get away, a villager yelled. Another chunin smiled wickedly and took one of Naruto's arms, pinned it against the wall. Take this demon, he yelled as he stabbed the kunai in each hand, pinning him to the wall. Naruto experienced pain, but this was a new type. He screamed out in agony as he cried. The villagers seemed taken aback for a second. This wasn't a demon's scream, no, this was a little boy's scream. It's the demon trying to trick us, a genin shouted. The others were quick to agree before they started torturing him again. Naruto watched as a nearby village held a knife and stabbed him in the stomach before twisting it. Naruto screamed again in pain. When the villager went to do it again, Naruto saw everything turn into a black-gray color as he saw everything in slow motion. He watched as the villager looked wide-eyed before being engulfed in a huge flames. Fire style, fireball jutsu. A young voice called out. The villagers, Chunin, and Genin alike were all quickly disposed of by the jutsu. Naruto closed his eyes as he felt the kunai being taken out of his hands as he fell to the ground.
Oh kami.
Naruto, I'm sorry I couldn't get here fast enough. I was just appointed to ANBU and stuff and I didn't. He stopped as he watched Naruto open his eyes. His breath hitched.
Sharingan?
He whispered. Naruto looked at the boy who saved him only to see a weasel mask. Naruto saw the boy had red eyes with tomos. You have cool eyes, he said before passing out. Itachi Uchiha chuckled at the boy. So do you, he said as he shunshined to the hospital and then to the Hokage's office. Naruto was attacked today, pretty brutally too, but that's not what's important, Itachi said as the third raised an eyebrow. What happened to the attackers? The third asked. He saw Naruto as a grandson and he wanted to make sure he got justice. I burnt them alive with a fire jutsu. The third nodded. Now what is possibly more important than him almost dying Weasel? Weasel, also known as Itachi, took a deep breath. He has the Sharingan Hokage-sama. Hiruzen gasped. Are you sure? He asked skeptically. Itachi nodded. I'm sure, sir. I saw them with my own eyes and my Sharingan was up as well, so it wasn't a genjutsu. But how does he have it? Hiruzen took off his Hokage hat. I don't know. It could be that Minato's parents were Uchiha, but he has bright yellow hair unlike most. Naruto-kun has black hair. Could be possible. He mumbled to himself before speaking up. I'm not certain, but Kushina or Minato could have had an ancestor that was an Uchiha, and it is dormant because maybe after a certain age they can't unlock it anymore, but at a young age like Naruto-kun they could potentially unlock it. But I'm not sure. Itachi nodded in understanding. Sir, may I make a request? Hiruzen rose an eyebrow but nodded. I would like for Naruto to live with my family. I saw what those villagers did to him. It was brutal. He would be dead if he didn't have one tail in him. Plus, I can train him in the Sharingan. Hiruzen rubbed his head as he thought of the pros and cons of this. The pros were numerous and the cons, well, he wasn't sure if there were any. Hiruzen sighed. Granted, you can tell Naruto-kun when he wakes up. Be sure to tell your parents about this. I don't want your father throwing a fit. Itachi nodded before shunshining home to tell his parents of the news. 1 hour later with Itachi. So, what do you think? Itachi said as he explained the situation. Mikoto Uchiha immediately responded. Of course. I've been meaning to ask your father about that, but it keeps slipping my mind. What do you think, Fugaku-kun? Fugaku was on Minato's genin team when he was younger, and the chance to adopt his friend's son when he was in need was preposterous. I agree. Even though this shouldn't have happened, Minato should have took Naruto with him, Fugaku said, showing more emotion than he has in a while. Besides, he has the Sharingan. That means we Uchiha should welcome another Uchiha with open arms. Itachi smiled at his father. If I hadn't known better, I would say you're going soft, Mikoto said as she kissed his cheek. Itachi turned to his little sister. What about you, Satsuki? Do you want Naruto to move in with us? Satsuki yawned. They woke her up for this? She nodded her head slightly and fell asleep. Itachi smiled at his little sister and went to bed for night. Next day, Naruto slowly opened up his eyes and looked around the room to see a girl around his age and a boy that felt familiar. The girl was playing with a little piece of clay while the boy just watched the girl with a small smile. Naruto turned his head the other way and found 2 more people sitting down talking. They both had black hair, but one was a man and another was a woman. The woman looked like an older version of the little girl. Looks like you're up, a voice said in his ear. Naruto jumped a little and turned his head to meet the face of the little girl right in his face. He went red with embarrassment, as did the girl when she realized how close she was to the strange boy that was coming home with them. Satsuki, you're too young to be dating boys. Mikoto teased as Satsuki immediately jumped away from Naruto and hid her blush by standing behind Itachi. "Who are you?" Naruto asked as he put the blanket over his head. Mikoto slowly took the blanket off his head with a warm smile. "We're your new family," she said in a soft voice. Naruto looked at her weirdly. "Family?" "Gigi said my last family left me here. You're just gonna leave me too?" Itachi smiled sadly at the black spiked-haired boy. "No, we're not. Family sticks together. And we're family now." Mom? What's his name again?" Mikoto covered up her mouth to keep herself from laughing. "His name is Naruto. Naruto Uchiha." Naruto rose an eyebrow. "I'm not an Uchiha. I'm just Naruto." Itachi poked Naruto's forehead. "Hey!" he yelled slightly as he rubbed his forehead. Sasuke mumbled, "I know, right?" Itachi then poked her forehead.
I'm Itachi.
"You can call me Itachi and I. That's my cousin. Your new cousin. And that over there," he said pointing at Fugaku, "is my Tusan. Your new Tusan. And it right here. I'm not an it, I'm a she," Satsuki muttered. Itachi laughed a little. "This is Satsuki. You can call her whatever you want, okay?" Naruto nodded slowly. "Okay, let's go to the orphanage and get your stuff, and then you can move in with us," Satsuki said with a smile. She then reached for the boy and tried to touch his whiskers. He flinched away thinking she was going to hurt him. "I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to see your whiskers." Naruto hesitantly nodded as he let her touch his whiskers. Then he did something no one thought he could. He purred. "Seute." Mikoto and Satsuki yelled at the same time. Satsuki immediately jumped on the bed and rubbed her cheek against his like he was some type of dog. Mikoto did the same, much to the amusement of Itachi and Fugaku. Naruto blushed a dark red as he felt the girl's mess with his whiskers. After they were done, Mikoto spoke up. "Come on, let's get your stuff." Naruto looked down at the blankets of the bed and muttered something no one picked up. "What was that?" "I don't have anything there. I was kicked out when I was 4. Fugaku's eyes widened a bit and Mikoto gasped. Itachi frowned and Satsuki asked the question everyone wanted to know. "Where did you live then?" Naruto looked Satsuki in the eyes. "The streets and a big forest. The bad people would beat me up a lot and some brought weapons. Last night they actually tried to kill me." He pointed to Itachi. "Then he saved me with a fireball thingy and I'm guessing he brought me here." Itachi's eyes widened slightly. "How did you know it was me?" he questioned. Naruto smiled slightly. "I felt you last night. I don't really know how to explain it, but it felt warm and it seemed calm. Like you are right now. Plus, your hair was in a ponytail, which it is right now." Itachi smiled. "Good observations considering what happened. You blew my cover though. Let's keep this a secret though. Just between us and Hokage-sama?" Naruto nodded. "Okay, let's go home." They waited for Naruto to get out of bed, but he just sat there. "What's Ro?" Itachi began, but was cut off by a strong hug from Naruto. Everyone smiled except for Fugaku, who just smirked at the scene in front of him. Itachi patted Naruto's back. "Thank you, Itachi and I," he said in between sobs. "Thank you for giving me a family." Time skip 1 month. This is going to be my longest chapter because I need to get to the part where Naruto's biological family comes back. "Kazan, Tusan, we're home." Satsuki and Naruto yelled at the same time as they walked through the door. The day marked Naruto's first month of being part of the family. He immediately liked the family, but he was super shy in the beginning, so he just stayed quiet. After the 2nd week, he opened up. The 3rd week, he and Sasuke joined the academy. Today was the day Fugaku said he was going to show them the family jutsu, so that they may have the family crest on the back of their shirts. "Welcome home, Satsuki-chan," Naruto-kun. "How was your day?" Naruto shivered. "Boring. Iruka-sensei just droned on and on about history. I mean, if I'm facing a ninja in battle, do you think me saying Hashirama Senju was the first Hokage is going to save me?" Mikoto smiled at her adoptive son's brightness. He was smart and usually thought logically when it counted. "Kazan, where's Tusan? He's supposed to show us the fireball jutsu." Satsuki whined.
Hyuga-kun.
Mikoto yelled into the hallway. "Naruto-kun and Satsuki-chan want to learn the jutsu you promised you'd teach them. Be there in a minute, honey." Fugaku yelled back, putting on his sandals. He would never admit it, but Naruto makes the Uchiha compound more happy, even if it was just a little bit. His laughter was infectious and his love spread like a wildfire. Some Uchiha opposed to him being at the compound but were immediately silenced when Fugaku got tired of it. Fugaku walked outside to see Satsuki sitting down waiting for her father, while Naruto was jumping up and down in excitement. "Come on, kids. Follow me." 5 minutes later at a lake on a dock. "Tsunade, can I use my Sharingan to copy it, please?" Naruto asked. When the family found out Naruto actually had the Sharingan, they all had different reactions. Satsuki was jealous, but she got over it quickly. Fugaku was slightly disappointed in the village for causing Naruto to awaken it. Mikoto was overjoyed and said he's on the path of greatness since he had 2 tomos already. "Sorry Naruto, but no. To become a real Uchiha, you must do this without the help of the Sharingan. But after that you can copy enemies' abilities and jutsus, but only copy an allies if they give you permission, okay?" "Okay, Tsunade. Let's do it," Naruto said. Satsuki smiled at the spiky black-haired boy. She liked him around the house and they would always hang out. One was not usually seen without the other. "Okay, here are the hand signs." Fugaku slowly showed them the hand signs as they both nodded for him to continue. "Then, you build up the chakra in your lungs until you feel a slight burning sensation and you blow as hard as you can. Fire style. Fireball jutsu," he yelled as he blew out a large ball of fire that they had to squint to see. "Now Sasuke, you try. You already know the hand signs, so it's all up to you now. Fire style. Fireball jutsu," she yelled as she blew a tiny ball of flames that didn't go too far. Fugaku sighed. "You tried your best. Now you just have to practice. Now your turn, Naruto." Naruto nodded. He quickly made the hand signs and put the fingers near his mouth before building up the necessary chakra. "Fire style. Fireball jutsu," he yelled as a huge ball of flames came out of his mouth. The jutsu was larger than Fugaku's example jutsu. It wasn't as big as Fugaku could have done, but still very impressive. It was bigger than Itachi's first try. "That's my boy," Fugaku said, laughing. "Yours was bigger than Itachi's. Maybe you're the next Uchiha prodigy." Naruto beamed at his adoptive father's praise. Satsuki blew a strain of hair out of her face in annoyance. "I'll see you kids later. Practice, Satsuki, and maybe you'll get it as big as Naruto's." After Fugaku left, Naruto turned to Satsuki and jumped up and down. "Did you see that, Satsuki-chan?" "I did it," Naruto said with excitement before he saw Satsuki's sad face. "What's wrong, Satsuki-chan? How come you got it on the first try, but I didn't?" She sniffed. Naruto hugged her quickly, causing her to blush from his embrace. "It's okay. I'll help you get it down. Maybe you didn't put enough chakra into it." Satsuki nodded her head. "Maybe." The rest of the day, Naruto helped Satsuki develop her chakra to the right amount, and she finally got to a size where it was a little bit over what their father did. They both had burn marks and scratches due to a fireball that backfired. They laughed about that for a while. They walked home supporting each other while limping slightly. Naruto was tired because he had to do a lot more fireballs than Satsuki to improve the width and length of the ball so he could perfect it, so he was exhausted. Satsuki was tired because she kept doing the jutsu over and over just to get it done with. "I'm exhausted," Satsuki said. It was a little dark as they headed to the compound. "I think it'd be easier if Tsunade said I could use my Sharingan," Naruto whispered into her ear so only she could hear. Fugaku and Mikoto wanted Naruto to keep his Sharingan a secret for now, but Itachi would give him a lesson every once in a while. When they got home, they shouted in unison. Mikoto came by and hugged them both before bonking them on the head. "You stayed out till late and you also burnt yourselves," she said with a hint of anger in her voice. Naruto and Satsuki looked at the ground in shame before Mikoto smiled brightly at them. "I also heard that you kids performed the fireball pretty well too, especially Naruto." Naruto beamed at the praise as Satsuki smiled at him. "Satsuki-chan did the fireball good too, cousin. Not as good as me, but she made it bigger than Tausen's." "I have a question. How'd you know we did the jutsu correctly?" Mikoto laughed. "Naruto's uncle said he was watching you two from afar. He was quite impressed." Naruto gasped. "Uncle Orochi came here? Where is he?" Naruto said in excitement. Mikoto just smiled at the boy. "He left a while ago, but he wanted me to give you this. It's a list of jutsu that you can practice on your free time. But it also contains 3 taijutsu styles. I haven't looked at the scroll yet, but he said there was a few pieces of chakra paper in there. She handed Naruto the scroll. He looked at it questionably. Kazan, how do I open it? Makoto chuckled while Satsuki face-bombed. It's a storage scroll, baka. Satsuki said. Satsuki, be nice. Makoto scolded. But she is right. To open it, just channel some chakra into the scroll. Naruto nodded as he channeled chakra into the scroll and it opened. Wow! It opened to reveal 3 pieces of chakra paper with 5 scrolls, each a different color and symbol. One was blue and it said water jutsu. Another was red and said fire jutsu. Another was brown and said earth jutsu. Another was white and said wind. And the final one was yellow and said lightning.
Okay.
Naruto-kun, I want you to take this piece of paper here and channel some chakra into it. If it burns, it's fire. If it gets soggy and wet, it's water. If it splits in half, it's wind. If it crinkles up, it's lightning. And finally, if it crumbles up, it's earth. Now give it a try, she explained. Naruto nodded and picked up the piece of paper. He channeled some chakra into it and watched in fascination as it split into 3 pieces with one crinkling, one burning, and another soaking. Makoto, Satsuki, and Itachi, who slipped into the room as Naruto picked up the paper, jaws dropped. Is that good, Kazan? Makoto could only nod her head, not trusting her voice. Itachi was the one who spoke up. You have 4 elemental affinities. A normal person usually has 1. 2 is rare. 3 is unheard of. And here you are with 4. Naruto, you're something else. Itachi said with a slight laugh. Naruto smiled. He may have loved his father and mother's praise, but the real praise he really wanted was Itachi's. He admired Itachi, being able to get into ANBU at age 12 and being captain at 13. It was incredible. Thanks, Itachi and I. Now I'm on my way to being as strong as you. Itachi smiled and motioned for Naruto to come to him. Naruto sat up and walked to Itachi only to be poked by his 2 fingers. Gore! Naruto growled in annoyance. He rubbed his head where Itachi poked. Makoto smiled at the 2 brothers. She remembered her conversation with Itachi earlier that day. Flashback. What do you honestly think of Naruto-kun, Itachi-kun? Makoto asked as she sat at the table drinking a cup of tea Itachi made. Itachi closed his eyes as he put down his cup. I love Naruto and I as much as I love Satsuki. He may not be blood completely, but that doesn't change anything. I would do anything for them, including giving my life up if it helps them live. Even if I become an obstacle that he hates, he will always be my little brother. Itachi replied without so much as thinking. Makoto didn't know that Itachi felt that way about her adoptive son. She was shocked. I'm proud of you, Itachi-kun. You welcomed him into our lives and then you love him like he was your brother. She was cut off. He is my brother Kazan. Even if he came out of your womb, nothing would change about how much I care for him. Flashback end. Time for bed, everyone. Let's go. You have school tomorrow. Makoto shooed the kids away. Only Itachi remained. You weren't joking earlier today, were you? Itachi gave her a weird look. Did you think I was? She shook her head in a negative fashion. Good night, Kazan. Naruto yelled from his room. Yeah, night. Satsuki called from her room. Makoto stood up. Looks like I have to sew some Uchiha symbols on their clothing, huh? Itachi smiled at his mother. Indeed, mother. 1 year later, Naruto, Arika yelled. Naruto jolted up from his seat wide awake. He was having a nice dream about him and Itachi training and him beating Itachi in a spar. Since you listen so well, you can answer the question. Who is the one who fought the first Hokage at the Valley of End? Why? Naruto asked. He was getting tired of Irika's lectures. They got on his nerves and made him tired. Sure, he was the top student in the class so far, but he didn't want to listen. Why, what, Naruto? Irika asked, confused. Why do we learn who did that? I mean, when is that going to help us in the ninja life? Am I going to start giving a history lesson to my enemy? Will talking get myself out of a situation when I'm facing a crazy missing nin with a bloodlust problem? The class laughed at Naruto but were immediately silenced when Satsuki spoke up. He has a point. He's also the smartest in the class. Think of his logic, Irika-sensei. Everyone laughed again at the two Uchihas. Both of you out of my class now. Naruto and Satsuki sighed in unison and stood up and walked out the classroom. Do you want to go train? Naruto asked. Satsuki nodded before they started walking down the hall. You always win though. Naruto chuckled. Ever since Orochimaru offered Naruto training, Naruto has been excelling in Tai and Ninjutsu. Flashback 6 months. Naruto was practicing some of the fire techniques his uncle gave him a few months ago. He was struggling with this one a little bit, but he couldn't get it. It was Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique. It was a B-rank offensive jutsu and he almost had it, but he just couldn't get the last part. You're not forming the chakra throughout your whole body. A voice rang out. Naruto turned around at the voice he knew so well to see his uncle, Orochimaru. Uncle Orochi, he yelled as he jumped up and hugged his uncle.
Hello, Naruto-kun.
Doing well, I hope. Naruto nodded. Well, I heard that you're doing well in the academy. Top person in the class is impressive, especially if all the future clan heads are in your class. Yeah, it's okay, but history is useless. Orochimaru gave Naruto a weird look. How so? Naruto then explained how it's useless and Orochimaru nodded at his logic. Okay, now back to the problem. I want you to form the chakra throughout your whole body and try the technique again. Naruto nodded and went through the hand signs and shouted. Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique. A head of a dragon made of flames spewed out of Naruto's mouth and engulfed a nearby tree, setting it on fire. Orochimaru was about to put it out when Naruto stopped him. I got this. Water style. Giant vortex jutsu. Naruto yelled as water seemingly came out of nowhere and crashed into the fire as it swirled around Naruto. Naruto deactivated the jutsu and looked at his uncle only to see Orochimaru's face with complete shock. Uncle Orochi? Naruto said, slightly scared at his uncle's face. Orochimaru shook his head from his shock and smiled warmly at Naruto. You've done something only the second Hokage could. I'm proud of you, Naruto. Naruto smiled and hugged his uncle again. How would you like me to teach you in those taijutsu techniques I gave you a while ago? Maybe I'll start teaching you hand-on instead of just sending you scrolls? Naruto nodded eagerly. Orochimaru laughed and ruffled his hair. Okay, let's get started. Flashback end. Now every other week after school he would go train with Orochimaru, and the week he wasn't, he would practice training with Satsuki with Itachi. They would throw kunai and shuriken and then he would train his Sharingan and speed. Were you two sent out again? Mizuki said as he came back with a cup of coffee. Good, Mizuki. Yeah, Mizuki-sensei. Irika-sensei didn't like it when me and Satsuki-chan said how useless his lectures are. Satsuki giggled a little bit. It's Satsuki-chan and I Naruto-kun. Satsuki corrected. Naruto blushed with embarrassment as Mizuki just laughed. You two kids can just go train, okay? Not learning anything important today, Mizuki said before walking into the classroom. Come on, Naruto shouted before running to the nearest training ground, which was Training Ground 7. When they got there, they immediately got into a taijutsu stance, Satsuki in the Uchiha taijutsu and Naruto in a mix of all of the taijutsu he learned. He decided to mix the moves of the styles and made a whole new taijutsu style with the help of his uncle. He had yet to think of a name for the style but swore he would sooner or later. Rules? Naruto asked. Satsuki smirked. Anything goes. Naruto looked at her worriedly. Are you sure? He asked in a worried tone. Satsuki smiled. Are you scared, Naruto-kun? Naruto shook his head. No, I'm worried about you, Satsuki-chan. I don't want to get you hurt. Satsuki shook her head. Don't hold back, she yelled before charging him. Naruto easily sidestepped her and tripped her. She rolled into the fall and stood back up before making a couple hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu, she yelled as Naruto went through his own hand signs. Water style, water bullets. He spewed out a large ball of water that extinguished the flames. He was about to make another before he had to dodge another punch from Satsuki. He stumbled backwards before kicking her in the chest and backflipping off of it. Ugh! Satsuki growled before she ran and was promptly tripped again before being pinned by Naruto and his fist raised. Do you yield? She sighed and nodded a yes to Naruto as he helped her up. You still totally outclass me. I need to get stronger, Satsuki mumbled. Naruto just laughed and was about to say something when he heard clapping. He turned around to see 5 ninjas with IWA headbands on. Naruto knew of the relationship between Konoha and IWA since the Third Shinobi War. That was an impressive spar for one so young. One of them said. Naruto growled. "Oh, we have a fighter here." Another one said. Naruto then found himself on the ground when the leader of the group punched him. Naruto held his cheek as it burned from the punch. Satsuki was trying to fight the man but was easily grabbed by the hair and yanked back. "Oh, you look like you'll become good-looking in the future. But that doesn't matter now. My men like them young." He threw Satsuki back where the 4 other men grabbed her and licked their lips. "You're going to be our slave," one said aloud. Naruto's eyes widened as he heard this. He knew what S-word and R-word was because he read a lot of books talking about the danger of shinobi and kunoichi. These guys were going to R-word Satsuki.
No.
He growled out.
No.
His voice changed from regular to demonic. The IWA ninja looked scared for a second before laughing. "You guys go ahead. I'll take the kid on." The 4 men were about to leave before they heard a growl. There was Naruto being surrounded by red chakra with one tail coming from behind him. His eyes were slit and had 3 times in his eyes. Naruto had matured his Sharingan. Naruto felt a deep feeling in his stomach that told him to slam his hand on the ground. "I won't let you take her." Naruto screamed as a burst of chakra came from making the dirt around him now away. He slammed his hand down on the ground as large spikes of wood impaled 3 of the 4 men holding Satsuki in their stomachs. "Emomo-kutan?" The 4th one said before he was impaled by another branch in the heart. The 4 men that were holding Satsuki were now dead. Naruto stared at man in front of him down. "I'm going to destroy you." He screamed. He rushed the man and punching him ribs, breaking a few before kicking him in the face, sending him into the trees. Naruto then made a hand sign and the trees around the men wrapped around him and slowly crushed him. The man screamed out in pain as he felt his whole body being crushed. Satsuki could only watch the man die right in front of her. She watched as the red cloak around Naruto faded, as did the slits. She gasped when she saw the 3 Tomo Sharingan in his eyes. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan as the 3rd Hokage, Orochimaru, Itachi, and a group of ANBU. Naruto was about to collapse when Satsuki caught him in her arms and held his head close to her as she stroked his hair. "Hokage-sama. It's pushing out chakra." Hiruzen surveyed the landscape and grimaced when he was the bodies of 4 IWA nins. "Mokutan," he whispered. Itachi and the rest of the ANBU heard him. "No way," an ANBU with a lion's mask said. Mokutan had not been seen since the first Hokage died. Orochimaru whistled.
Naruto-kun.
"You are certainly made for great things," he said, smiling at the 2 Uchiha as Satsuki was stroking Naruto's hair. Time skipped 6 years. A day before graduation, Naruto and Satsuki were excited. Naruto because no more book work and Satsuki because she gets some action. Naruto was smiling like a goof as he walked towards the Hokage Tower. "I'm so close to graduating. I can taste it. Nothing can ruin my day, not even the villagers," Naruto thought. He dodged people who tried to intentionally bump into him skillfully. He had learned a lot with his Sharingan. He had 100% control over it and he was proud of himself. After that day with the IWA nin, the 3rd sent him scrolls on Mokutan every other week while Orochimaru watched him. He also made 2 new friends. Their names were Anko Mitarashi and Kakashi Hatake. He has learned many jutsus and he was very proficient in battle tactics and genjutsu. His Sharingan helped him a lot. He grew a lot closer to Satsuki since that day as well. He wasn't sure what it was, but whenever he was near her, he would blush and feel something in his stomach twist and turn. Naruto burst into the Hokage office. A group of people were in front of the desk, but he didn't care. "I'm here, Gigi," he yelled as he laughed. Hiruzen smiled warmly at the boy.
"Hello, Naruto-kun.
"I want you to meet some people." He gestured to the people in front of his desk. Naruto looked at the people and studied them. There was 2 kids around his age, an old man with white hair coming down his back, a tall man with blue eyes and blonde hair, a woman with long red hair, and a woman with blonde and had 2 pigtails flowing down from the back of her neck. Naruto studied the tall man with blonde hair before scowling. "Gigi, Why are they here? He spat out with venom. The blonde man's smile turned upside down to a frown, along with everyone else in the group. The blonde took a step forward. My name is Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, and your father. He finished. Naruto's scowl deepened more. You're not my Tsunade. My Tsunade is at home waiting for me to come home, he said as his voice immediately went low. Minato gave him a confused look. What do you mean? We are. He motioned to the rest of the people in the room. We are your family. Naruto shook his head in disgust. No, you aren't. My family is at home. Now with your family. Minato's eyes widened when he finally noticed Uchiha clan crest on Naruto's back. An Uchiha crest? He asked. The boy who had red hair like his mother stepped forward. He probably stole it too, San. Let me take it off, he said, reaching for the crest before he found a kunai at his throat. You will not touch me. Naruto growled out as his chakra flared and ki flooded the room, making the boy sweat before raising hands in the air. Okay.
I'm sorry.
The boy stepped back slowly. Minato and Kushina gawked at the child they had abandoned. The speed he had was just mind-blowing. Kushina then realized what just happened. You cannot just draw a kunai on your own brother. Kushina yelled slightly. Naruto glared at her. Both of my brothers are in missions right now, and only one could totally whoop my ass in a fight. Tsunade had enough. Listen here, brat. We don't have time for your petty grudge against your real family. She growled as she stomped, she said, staring into his eyes. What she didn't know was that she was staring into his Sharingan. Tsunade kept matching at the boy before she bumped into an invisible force. She then realized she was in a genjutsu and she quickly dispelled it, only to find him standing there with a smirk and her facing the opposite side of the room. Her eyes widened along with everyone else in the room except for Naruto, and Hiruzen gaped at the Sharingan. How did you get the Sharingan? Minato asked. Naruto shook his head. I do not need to give you that information, Namikaze-san. Minato frowned. Naruto, call me Tsunade. Naruto shook his head. No, you're not my Tsunade, Naruto said with a snarl. You stopped being my Tsunade the day you abandoned me, just because I didn't have enough tails of chakra like they did, he yelled, pointing at his biological siblings. You left me to the mercy of the villagers. They would beat me every week when I was kicked out of the orphanage. I hate you, Naruto said before sunshining to the Uchiha compound. What have we done to our baby boy? Kushina asked as she started crying. Beaten by the villagers? He was exaggerating. The villagers are the nicest people in the world. Minato thought. It's all true, Minato. On his 6th birthday, he was almost killed but was saved by Itachi Uchiha. Then Fugaku and Mikoto adopted Naruto. But during the torture on that day, he also unlocked his Sharingan. He's a prodigy. He was trained with the Sharingan by Itachi and Fugaku and trained in all the other areas by Orochimaru, whom he calls Uncle Orochi. After the torture, his life was okay until 5 IWA Nin attacked him and Satsuki Uchiha. Minato froze along with the other adults. Well, Naruto grew angry and unlocked another Kekai Genkai. He unlocked Mokuton. Tsunade slammed her hand on the table.
Impossible, sensei.
Stop telling stories, she yelled. Hiruzen laughed at the woman. I'm not telling stories. I'm telling you facts. He tapped into the Kyuubi's chakra and killed all 5 IWA troops when he was 7 with Mokuton. Each of them were brutally killed. I've been giving him techniques on Mokuton since then, and he's mastered all of them so far. Right now, he can perform perfect B-rank Mokuton jutsus. Overall, Naruto would be a mid to high jonin if he had a year or 2 of experience. But sadly, he does not. Without experience, he's around mid-chunin to very low jonin. Hiruzen finished. Minato ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Why wasn't I told this in our letters? He asked in an annoyed tone. Hiruzen glared at Minato. Do you really want to know, Minato? Of course we do. The group shouted. You never asked. Since you never asked, I didn't think it'd be important to you. You always boasted about your other kids on how they are mastering the Kyuubi's chakra. But tell me, without the Kyuubi's chakra, what level would they be? HM? You raised then to rely on it when you shouldn't. Naruto was raised right and relies on his own power. The 2 youngins scowled at the old man. What would you know? They yelled in unison. I know a lot. I can sense your chakra pools, and they wouldn't be that large if it wasn't for the Kyuubi. Now silence, children. Hiruzen eyed Jiraiya and Tsunade. Naruto has stated that you two aren't his godparents anymore. Naruto's new godparents are Orochimaru and Mei Terumi. She is great friends with the Uchiha, and his cousin decided to make it happen. She is not his cousin. Kushina screamed and stormed off. If you try to change anything, you can't. I have issued custody of Naruto Uchiha over to Makoto and Fugaku Uchiha due to Naruto's request, and the whole Uchiha compounds. They love Naruto-kun dearly. He brightens up the place. How could you do this, Hiruzen? I thought you were on my side. Minato shouted. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. I stopped being on your side when I saw Naruto have holes in his hands and multiple holes in his stomach. Your decision was foolish and idiotic. All of you leave. Minato, you can get back in this chair after Naruto graduates. Understood. Minato sadly nodded. They seemed to regret it. I wonder if Naruto-kun will ever forgive them? Hiruzen thought as he took another puff of his pipe. And then they say that they are my family and all that other crap. Naruto said in an angry tone as he was laying down on Satsuki's lap in the shade of a tree nearby their house. Satsuki stroked his jet black hair as she listened. This became a hobby of hers after that incident with the IWA shinobi. They would often get in this position and talk about their day and stuff, or they would just sit and enjoy each other's company. Are you going to forgive them? She asked softly as she moved his hair out of his face. Naruto just frowned.
No.
Not yet, at least. They abandoned me, he said as he switched to a more comfortable position. He looked up at Satsuki and a quick blush spreading across his face. Satsuki had a ponytail that went to her mid-back that was set over her shoulder. Her bangs were swept to the side where she could see. She had on a plain white shirt with a dark blue jacket on with the zipper unzipped with the Uchiha clan crest on the back. She had on a black skirt with black spandex shorts under so no one can sneak a peek. Why have you been blushing around me lately? She asked. Naruto froze and instantly tried to find something else to talk about until they heard yelling. He's my son and he's going to live in my house, a familiar voice yelled. Naruto sighed and jumped off of Satsuki's lap, but he secretly thanked Kami for the distraction. He helped Satsuki up and they started walking towards the house they called home. If he's your son, why did you abandon him? Makoto yelled back at her childhood friend. They were arguing about why and how Makoto adopted Naruto and then took full custody of him. Naruto and Satsuki walked up to the two.
Ika-san.
They said in unison. Kushina beamed, thinking Naruto was talking to her. Hi, Naruto. She squealed and went to give him a hug before he expertly dodged her. Hello, Kushina-san, he said in an emotionless tone. Satsuki and Makoto were taken aback a bit. Naruto was usually happy and filled with emotion. Now, he seemed to be void of all emotions. He turned to Makoto and smiled. Where's Tsunade? He said he was going to give me and Satsuki-chan a scroll. Makoto smiled at her son. She didn't even consider him her adoptive son anymore. Neither did Fugaku. She was about to reply when Satsuki spoke. It's Satsuki-chan and I. Geez, you think you'd get it after all these years. Makoto sweat dropped from hearing her daughter correct her son. Naruto turned red from embarrassment at the correction. I think your Tsunade is in the kitchen having tea. You should hurry up inside, Makoto said as she tried to hurry the kids into the house. He is not your Tsunade. Your Tsunade is at home with your family, Kushina yelled at Naruto. Naruto spoke without turning around, releasing Ki that made everyone freeze. You are not my family. Minato Namikaze is not my family. Family is supposed to stick together. You left me. Now, he snarled. Stay away from me. He walked into the house and into his room. Ugh.
Naruto-kun.
Satsuki yelled as she ran to go comfort Naruto. Makoto shook her head. I'm disappointed in you, Kushina, she said as she closed the door to Kushina's screaming. Next day. Next up, Menma Namikaze. Irika called out. It was graduation day and you could feel the excitement in the air. The day they become genin of the village. Naruto in particular was excited. If he passes, his uncle was going to give him something special. He just couldn't wait. Next up, Naruko Namikaze. Irika called. Menma walked out of the testing room with a leaf headband on and a smug smile gracing his lips. "Beat that Nizan," he said confidently as he was surrounded by fangirls. Even if it was his first day here, word spread fast about the heroes of the village returning, and the two siblings got fanboys and fangirls alike. It disgusted Naruto. "I'm not your Nizan, nor will I ever be. Now sit down, Menma. You're being annoying." Menma scowled at his biological sibling. Naruko, who just finished her test, walked in and overheard the conversation, gave her brother a growl. "Stop being a D, Naruto," she yelled. "Just because Kazan and Tsunade chose us doesn't mean you have to be mean about it," she yelled, drawing the attention of several people. Naruto closed his eyes and sent wave after wave of Ki, making all of the students sweat and sit down. "Naruko, do you want to be on my shit list?" he whispered loud enough for the class to hear. Many of the children gasped as Naruko stood up. They were a little shocked because Naruto was in line for the Rookie of the Year award, and here was this newcomer, the hero of the village, challenging him. Naruto rose an eyebrow. "Do you wish to dance?" Naruto usually refers dances and fights. He started calling fights dances after he awoken Mokuton. "Dance? What do you mean?" she asked, narrowing her eyes at him. Naruto was about to reply when a lazy Nara spoke up. "He means fight." Naruto refers to dancing as fighting. To him, there's no difference. "But could you guys keep it down? This is such a drag," Shikamaru said lazily. The Ki immediately dropped and almost everyone let out a sigh of relief. Naruto smiled at Shikamaru. "You say that too much. You should have a more expanded vocabulary," Naruto said. Shikamaru smiled at his black-haired friend. "It'd be too troublesome." Naruto sweat dropped, seeing as his friend just did what he suggested. "Whatever." However, Naruto began about to address Naruko when Mizuki came out of the room beside Irika. "Naruto Nami, crap. Sorry, Naruto. Your name was next to Naruko's because they are spelt almost just alike," Mizuki said with a chuckle as he scratched the back of his head. He cleared his throat. "Naruto Uchiha, please come take your test." Naruto smiled at his teacher before jumping off his seat and running into the examination room. "Okay, Naruto. Do the substitution before these shuriken reach you." Naruto nodded and waited for the shuriken to come. Irika threw the shuriken, which were dulled so if in case the student did not actually do the substitution jutsu, they'd be okay. Naruto substituted himself with the log on the ground that was provided on the other side of the classroom. "Good. Now do the transformation jutsu." Naruto nodded his head and made a single one-handed seal and transformed into Itachi Uchiha, behind the mirror where parents and the Hokage reside. "Ah, he chose his brother. How sweet." Makoto cooed. Kushina was about to tell about his real family when she was silenced by a hand on her shoulder from Minato, shaking his head as if telling her no. She sighed and crossed her arms. "What do you expect? I'm starting to think he likes Satsuki and Itachi more than he likes us," Fugaku said with a slight smile, extremely proud of his son. "What do you expect? He spends most of his time hanging out with Itachi and Satsuki. More of Satsuki than Itachi, though. He seems to take an interest in her besides a friend." This time Fugaku laughed. "Indeed, she is oblivious to it though. I wonder if she feels the same way," he said. Makoto nodded her head. "I'm pretty sure she does." Fugaku raised an eyebrow, asking his question silently. "Call it mother's intuition." Examination room. "Okay, now perform at least 3 working clones and you pass," Mizuki said. He had taken a liking to Naruto over the years. He wouldn't admit it out loud, but Naruto was his favorite student. "Does it matter what type of clone?" Naruto asked. Mizuki looked at Irika and they had a silent discussion with their eyes. They came to a decision. "I suppose not. Just make sure there are 3 of them, okay?" Naruto nodded again. "My cousin showed me this because I have massive reserves." "Shadow clone jutsu," he yelled as 10 Narutos filled up the room. Mizuki and Irika knew that Naruto was strong, but this was just outrageous. Most jonin couldn't even do this jutsu because it was chakra taxing, but this kid made it seem like nothing. "Why you PP past Naruto?" Irika stuttered out. Naruto smiled before grabbing his headband and walking out the room. "That boy is going to do some great things," Mizuki said with a smile. Irika could only nod in agreement. I passed, Naruto yelled when he entered back into the classroom. Satsuki tilted her head and smiled at him, making him grow red. Good job, Naruto-kun, she said in an excited voice. She had already passed since she was the first one to go. Naruto sat down next to her. That test was easy, Naruto said. They should really bump up what we learn in here. Satsuki nodded her head in agreement. True. 3/4 of the crap we learned was history, and you know how I feel about that. Irika and Mizuki walked in the room. Congratulations, everyone that passed. Now that you are genin, there are certain responsibilities. Naruto droned out Irika's lecture and just stared at Satsuki. She's beautiful, he thought. He realized his thoughts and his face turned a deep shade of red. Bad Naruto. You can't like her like that. What if she doesn't like you like that? Naruto, Irika yelled for the 7th time. Stop staring at your girlfriend and pay attention. Naruto's posture instantly straightened. His face a really deep shade of red, while Satsuki had a slight redness on her cheeks as well. Not my girlfriend, but I'll pay attention, Irika-sensei. The class laughed at Naruto. He put his head down and handed Satsuki a kunai. Kill me now, Satsuki-chan. Please. Satsuki raised the kunai and slammed it down next to his head. You're an idiot. You know that, right? She asked. Naruto nodded his head ever so slightly. She smiled and patted him on the back. Listen up. Irika-sensei is calling out teams. Team 7, Naruto Uchiha, Satsuki Uchiha, and Sai, no last name. Your Jonin-sensei will be, oh, this is unusual. You have 2 senseis, Kakashi Hatake and Itachi Uchiha, he announced. Naruto sprang up and yelled, yes, we have Itachi and II and Kakashi and II as our sensei. This is going to be awesome. Satsuki was smiling as well. Naruto-kun, calm down, you're going to get in trouble. Satsuki chided like a mother would. Naruto tuned out the other teams until Satsuki smacked him slightly. Listen, and finally Team 11 will be Menma Namikaze, Naruko Namikaze, and Sakura Haruno. Your Jonin sensei will be Kushina Namikaze. Irika finished. Once again, I am very proud of all of you. Your Jonin senseis will be here soon to pick you up, Irika said as he and Mizuki walked out of the classroom. 3 hours later, I didn't think that Kakashi and II would be this late. Naruto sighed. You'd think he'd be early for you, but no, Satsuki said with a slight bit of sarcasm. After all the graduates left with their respective senseis, Naruto tried to talk to the Sai kid, but found out he was really weird. His smiles seemed to be fake, and he was always looking and observing at the two. Naruto looked over at Sai only to see Sai staring at him intently. Naruto inwardly cringed. He leaned over to Satsuki's ear. Why is that guy so creepy? He's eyeing us like we're animals at a zoo, Naruto whispered. Satsuki sighed. She knew it too. Naruto was about to say something else when the classroom door opened. Team 7, Kakashi said as he peered over at his genin team. Naruto glared at Kakashi. I thought you'd be at least an hour late, Kakashi-sensei. Not 3, he growled out. Kakashi gave them an awkward eye smile. Sorry, Naruto. I had to help an old woman lift her groceries to her house. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Liar. You stole that from Obito, Naruto yelled as Kakashi just smiled at the memory of his dead friend. He was usually late to honor the Uchiha. Well, meet me on the roof, he said before shining to the roof. Naruto turned to his 2 teammates. He turned to Sai. Put a hand on my shoulder. I'll shin us there. Satsuki put a hand on Naruto's shoulder, used to him doing this. Sai gave him a weird smile before he put a hand on Naruto's other shoulder. Naruto made a hand sign and shined on top of the roof. Satsuki and Naruto sat relatively close to one another while Sai had about a 5 feet distance from Naruto. Kakashi was leaning on the railings. Okay guys and gal, tell me you're about yourself. I'll go first. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I like reading. He was interrupted by Naruto, who coughed the word porn. I have a few dislikes. My hobbies? Reading. He eyed Naruto, waiting for the cough, and it happened. My dreams? Never really thought about it. Now your turn, Mr. Emotion. My name is Sai. I like to draw and paint. I don't really dislike anything so far. My hobbies are painting and drawing. My dream? I don't have one, he said in a fake emotion that everyone could spot. Okay, now you Ms. Uchiha, Kakashi said, pointing at Satsuki. Satsuki glared at Kakashi but began speaking. My name is Satsuki Uchiha. I like tomatoes and my family. My dislikes are those who abandon someone for no reason. My hobbies include hanging out with Naruto-kun and training with Naruto-kun. I have 3 dreams. One is to surpass my brother. Another is to protect people who are precious to me. And the last one, she took a deep breath as she turned slightly red, is to marry a certain someone. Naruto's Sharingan immediately activated in his anger as Ki flooded the area. She wants to marry someone? Now I'll never have my chance. He thought. Kakashi's eyes widened when he saw Naruto's Sharingan. He never told me he had the Sharingan. 3 tomos no less. This is gonna be a problem. He'd best pass this test or the council will get him. Kakashi thought, genuinely worried about Naruto. Okay, Naruto, your turn. Naruto adopted a brooding position. My name is Naruto Uchiha. I like to train, my family, hang out with Satsuki-chan, and I like a girl. I dislike my biological family, along with Tsunade Senju and Jiraiya. I also dislike how long it takes for me to learn a new technique from Uncle Orochi. My hobbies include spending time with Satsuki, training, and talking to my family. My dream is to become the strongest man on the planet and to marry the girl I like. This time Satsuki put out some Ki. He wants to marry someone? Damn it, I wanted to marry him. Satsuki thought. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Those two are so clueless. He thought with a small smile beneath his mask. Okay, everyone, meet me at Training Grounds 7, he said. He noted how Naruto and Satsuki grimaced slightly. He heard how 5 IWA Nin tried to attack them but nothing else about it. Something wrong, you guys? Naruto looks anywhere besides Kakashi with a guilty look on his face. Satsuki, knowing what was going through his head, she pulls him over and puts her forehead on his. It wasn't your fault, Satsuki whispered. You were just protecting me. Kakashi channeled chakra to his ears and listened in on the conversation. I killed those men. I killed them.
Naruto shocked back da sob.
Ever since that day, Naruto has always felt guilty about killing those men. Kakashi's eyes widened when he heard Naruto killed the IWA Nins. So Naruto defended Satsuki? He was only 7 at the time though. Could he have tapped into the one tail of chakra? Kakashi thought. He watched as Satsuki kissed Naruto's forehead before pulling him into a tight hug. Young love. The two jumped off each other, both blushing furiously. Okay guys, Training Ground 7. See you there. 10 minutes later, Kakashi watched as the 3 genin walked on to the training grounds. Okay, you 3. Time to see if you can actually become genin. The Uchihas stared him down with glares before Sai spoke up. What do you mean? Naruto and Satsuki nod their head in aggro with Sai's question. Well, you aren't genin yet. You have to be able to pass to this test to be genin. Only 9 academy students actually get to be genin, so you have a failure rate of 66%. Naruto finishes. Kakashi nods his head. What's the test, sensei? Satsuki asked. Kakashi took out 2 bells. You have to try to get these bells. And the people who get them actually can pass this test and become genin while the other gets sent back to the academy. So I want you to come at me with the intent to kill, Kakashi said in a serious voice, so he wouldn't laugh at Satsuki's serious face. Ready, set, dash. He was cut off as Naruto tried to kick him. He grabbed Naruto's foot and threw him a couple feet. Wait till I say go, Naruto. Naruto grinned at his sensei. A true ninja never waits for his opponent to be ready. True. He heard a sizzling sound and looked down to see around 20 paper bombs. Shit. He looked at Naruto to see a small smirk. Boom. Kakashi substituted himself with a nearby log. Naruto, are you trying to kill me? Naruto nodded his head. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Satsuki yelled as a fireball came towards Kakashi. Naruto made a couple more hand signs. Wind style. Wind bullets. Naruto said as he blew out 3 bullets of air that enhanced the fireball. Kakashi's eyes widened as he narrowly dodged the fireball only to get hit with a lion made of ink courtesy of Sai. He watched as all of the genin started making hand signs before he held up his hands. You pass, he yelled. He then quickly grabbed Naruto and knocked him out. What the hell, Kakashi-sensei? Satsuki yelled. You just said we passed. Kakashi smiled. It's just going to be a little prank. I'm going to tie him up to one of the posts over there and pick him up after 3 to 4 hours. Kakashi said with a smile. Naruto's like my little brother. I'd never let him get hurt intentionally. Satsuki slowly nodded but still didn't like the idea. Kakashi quickly tied Naruto to the stump with a chakra-infused rope that wouldn't let Naruto use chakra or break out of it with his strength. Come on guys, you can go home, Kakashi said. Satsuki only nodded her head. I have a bad feeling about this. She mumbled until she walked away before leaving a note on Naruto's chest, so he would know it's just a prank. 1 hour later, Naruto woke up tied up. He desperately tried to get out, but he couldn't reach his kunai. He sighed and felt a slight crinkle on his chest. He looked at the paper and read it.
Dear Naruto-kun.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to let you out of the rope. Kakashi-sensei's orders. He said you two were like brothers, so I let him do it. It's just a prank. He'll pick you up in a few hours. Kazan is going to have a fit. Sincerely, Satsuki. Naruto smiled at the letter before he heard some voices. Yeah, I heard this was the demon's new training grounds. Let's rig it, a group of villagers said. They walked on the training grounds and one spotted Naruto. There's the demon right now. Let's get him. Naruto tried to activate his chakra but couldn't. Oh shit. Meanwhile, 30 minutes later, Team 7 pass. Kakashi said in a bored voice. A lot of jonin gasped in shock. Kakashi hasn't passed a team yet, and this was the first one. Naruto seemed to be brilliant and used perfect teamwork with Satsuki by applying wind jutsu to her fire and then cornering me with their jutsus. They have excellent teamwork. Wind jutsu? Isn't that way too early to teach a genin? Kurinai Yuhi asked, and a few jonin nodded. Kakashi shook his head before a voice spoke up. I taught him that, Orochimaru said with a slight smile. That boy is a bigger prodigy than any of the prodigies this village has seen. A few murmurs were heard. I was going to give him a gift, but I couldn't find him at any of his usual spots. Do you know where he is, Kakashi? Kakashi laughed a little. I decided to prank Naruto by tying him to a post at the training grounds. I was going to pick him up after this meeting. Orochimaru along with Hiruzen went wide-eyed. You fool! Orochimaru and Hiruzen said at the same time. Minato rose an eyebrow. What's the problem? He asked. Hiruzen looked at Minato. Naruto is hated by the villagers. If one sees him tied up and helpless, they're going to hurt them. Hiruzen yelled. ANBU with me. Several members of ANBU jumped out and stood beside the third. Follow me. He barked at everyone in the room. He then proceeded to run towards the training grounds which Naruto was currently tied up. Oh god, Naruto be okay, thought Kakashi, Orochimaru, and Hiruzen at the training grounds 5 minutes before they left the meeting. Ag! Naruto screamed. He was being mercilessly stabbed in the stomach by a villager who wore an evil grin. Naruto had 4 kunais in each limb and several in his stomach. The villagers each took turns twisting and moving the kunai deeper in his body. Naruto had tears running down his face. The pain was unbearable. Please stop, he shouted. The villagers just continued. We're going to kill all of the demon lovers after this, one said. And maybe have fun with the women. Naruto just kept crying out in pain. Take my power. A deep voice rang out in Naruto's mind. Take my power kit. He yelled louder. Red chakra swirled around Naruto before he broke the rope and limped for the villagers. Everyone watched in horror as they saw Naruto. He was soaked in blood while being surrounded by villagers. Minato and Orochimaru were about to jump before they heard a wait from Hiruzen. They glared at the old man before he pointed at Naruto, who had just broke the ropes. I'm going to fucking kill you all. Naruto screamed as wood came from the ground and impaled a couple of the villagers. You dare torture me? His slightly demonic voice yelled. His Sharingan was active, which scared a lot of them and amazed many of the jonin. Naruto ran as sliced one of the villagers' throats out with his claws, and Naruto made some hand signs. D. Fire style. Inferno flames. He yelled as the remaining villagers were engulfed in flames. Naruto's wounds were healing rapidly as he took out the kunai in his limbs. All of the Jonin and Anbu jumped down and revealed themselves. Naruto saw Hiruzen and started running while tears ran down his face. "Gigi," he said, turning back to normal. He jumped forward and landed in Hiruzen's arms. He was crying heavily. "It hurt. It hurt so bad," he said in between sobs. Orochimaru glared at Minato. "This is your fault. If you had actually taken Naruto, this wouldn't have happened," he yelled. Hiruzen walked towards the Uchiha clan compound as Minato and Orochimaru got into a heated argument with Naruto still crying in his robes. "Shoo, you're almost home," he said. Naruto may be a genin, but he was still human, and even humans took too much. 5 minutes later, Hiruzen knocked on the door of the Uchiha head compound. Itachi answered the door. "Hello." He immediately saw Naruto in Hiruzen's arms before he quickly grabbed him out of the arms and ran into the house. Hiruzen walked into the house and heard Satsuki crying along with Mikoto. Naruto had passed out on the way to the compound. Hiruzen then explained what happened and that it was a complete accident. Itachi stood up. "I'll kill that Hatake," he yelled before being grabbed by Hiruzen. "No, Itachi. Would Naruto want that?" Itachi looked at the ground in shame. Naruto's head was currently laying on Satsuki's lap as she stroked his hair as she cried for him. Mikoto was holding Naruto's hand and stroking it as she cried too. Fugaku just looked at his passed-out son. He didn't trust himself to speak as he was afraid his voice would choke up. After about another hour, Naruto slowly opened up his eyes to see Satsuki stroking his hair. His nasty, bloody hair. "Don't you think that's gross, Satsuki-chan?" he asked. Satsuki gasped before she pulled him into a hug. This time she sobbed hard into his shirt. She was so close to losing him. "Don't you ever do that again," she cried out. Naruto hugged her tightly. "Wasn't much of a choice, but okay," he croaked out. After a while, if talking and assuring his family that he was okay because the fox healed him. He took a shower and went to bed changing into his boxers. About an hour or two later, Naruto sat up as he yelled slightly. He had a horrible dream of his family and friends being killed by the villagers. He slowly laid back down and tossed and turned but couldn't go back to sleep until he heard a soft knock on his door. He got up and opened the door to reveal Satsuki standing in nothing but a large shirt. "Are you okay, Naruto-kun?" she asked. Naruto sighed before shaking his head and telling her about the dream. "And now I can't sleep," he muttered. Satsuki smiled at him before grabbing his hand and leading him to the bed. She laid him down before laying down next to him and snuggling up in his arms. "Better?" she asked as she slowly began falling asleep. Naruto wrapped his arms around the girl and closed his eyes. "Better. Ah, they look so cute all snuggled up together." Mikoto cooed as she, Fugaku, and Itachi stared at Satsuki and Naruto in each other's arms. Itachi had a small smile gracing his lips. "Hot or cold?" Fugaku smiled slightly. "Get the cold water. It'll be way better." Itachi nodded and ran to get a bucket. He filled the bucket with cold water and walked back to Naruto's room. "Time to wake up, kiddies," Mikoto whispered before kissing them both on the top of their heads. She turned to Itachi and nodded her head. Itachi quickly drenched the two genin with the cold water. Naruto's reaction was the best. He jumped up so high right when the water hit him that his head actually hit the ceiling of his room before falling on his butt. Satsuki just tried to get back under the blanket, but her mother yanked it off. "Why would you guys do that?" Naruto yelled as he rubbed the top of his head. "Are you crazy?" Mikoto just laughed. Maybe. Naruto was shivering on the ground, soaked head to toe. "Get out, I need to change," he growled out. Itachi just smiled and poked Naruto's wet forehead and walks out the room with the rest of the Uchihas. Naruto quickly dressed in his all-black attire and walked out to find his family eating breakfast. "Don't you have to meet your sensei at 8? Fugaku asked Naruto. Naruto smiled slightly before shaking his head. "Kakashi and I usually comes 3 hours late, so we're gonna go around 10:50. Naruto explained. Satsuki nodded in agreement before she went back to eat her eggs. Any Japanese foods except dango and ramen, so I'ma use American for now. Sorry for any inconveniences. Naruto-kun, your pancakes are on the counter," Satsuki said still before she took another bite. "Thanks." Naruto said before grabbing his pancakes and sitting next to Itachi. Hey Itachi and I, why didn't you come to pick us up yesterday? Aren't you our sensei too? Naruto said. Itachi nodded and swallowed the food in his mouth. Yep, but I was sent on a quick mission by Hokage-sama. Naruto nodded and finished his pancakes with speed. I'm going to go train. Bye Kazan. Bye Tusan. Naruto called out before running towards the training grounds. 40 minutes later, wind style. Blades of wind. Naruto shouted before expertly slicing the air with his hands towards the training dummy, successfully cutting it into 3 different pieces. Naruto smirked at his success. Nice job, Naruto-kun. That jutsu will hurt anybody that gets in its way. Naruto turned around and saw his uncle.
Orochi.
Not that I don't like you being here, but why are you here? I thought training with you was next week. Naruto questioned. Orochimaru smiled at Naruto. Well, remember how I was going to give you a gift since you graduated, right? Orochimaru asked. Naruto frowned as he remembered what happened the previous night. Orochimaru smiled sadly at Naruto. Well, I changed my mind. Naruto gave him a questioning look before Orochimaru held up 2 fingers. I'm going to give you 2 gifts. Orochimaru took out a small scroll and opened it to reveal a sword. The sword hilt was black with white patches in it that was in a shape of a diamond. The blade itself was a really dark gray. The first gift is a sword. This sword is made of chakra metal, so you can infuse chakra into it, and you can enhance some of your jutsu like your wind jutsu from earlier. He handed Naruto the sword and Naruto sheathed it and put it in his back. Thank you, uncle. But I don't really know how to use a sword. Orochimaru laughed. I'll be teaching you along with an ANBU who doesn't hate you next week until you can master some styles, and then create your own like you did with taijutsu. Naruto hugged his uncle before Orochimaru pulled out a big scroll that was sealed into his wrist. Now this is the snake summoning scroll. I let Anko-chan sign it and now I want you to sign it. You can be a summoner of snakes. Do you really mean it, Uncle Orochi? Naruto said with tears in his eyes. Orochimaru nodded as Naruto tackled him to the ground in a hug. Naruto knew that summoning was really rare, and for his uncle to offer him a summon was one of the best days of his life. Orochimaru opened the scroll and explained how to be a summoner. Naruto signed the contract. Okay. Now, do you know the hand signs? Orochimaru asked. Naruto nodded eagerly. Then go ahead and give it a try. Don't be discouraged if you can't. He watched as Naruto went through the hand signs and slammed his hand on the ground. Orochimaru's eyes widened. Naruto summoned the boss snake. Manda, I don't see a battle anywhere. Orochimaru, why did you summon me? Manda asked when he saw Orochimaru. I summoned you, not him, Naruto said from on top of Manda's head. Manda tried to throw Naruto off his head but had no success. Get off my head so I may see you, boy, Manda commanded. Naruto jumped off of his head and landed in his peripheral vision. Orochimaru, you let a boy sign this? Yes, Manda. He did not refer Manda and Sama because they knew and fought alongside each other for a long time. He seemed ready to be able to summon, and since no other summons were available at this time, I decided to give him the snake summoning scroll. Manda thought about this before coming to a conclusion. He may summon me if he gives me a human sacrifice. Naruto looked at Manda in horror. Is there any other way? Orochimaru asked, knowing the test behind Manda's words. Manda nodded his head before peering down at Naruto. Naruto looked Manda in the eyes. I refuse. I will not kill someone and offer them to you just so I can get help in the battle. Naruto said sternly. Even if it cost me the snake contract. Manda chuckled. I like this boy. You may call upon the snakes if you need it, boy. Farewell. Manda said before dispelling himself. Naruto smiled brightly at his uncle before he heard a mock clap from behind them. Naruto turned around and scowled. It was Jiraiya. Bravo, bravo. A new snake summoner. How nice. Jiraiya said sarcastically. What do you want? Naruto sneered. Jiraiya just smirked. I just wanted to see what my student's son was up to. Is that a crime? Jiraiya said with a mock smile. Naruto glared at the man. Yes, it is a crime. You are on Uchiha property and I'm certain you were not invited. Trespassing, Naruto said. Jiraiya scowled. I should dash. Jiraiya began before he was met by a sword on his neck. You should what? Jiraiya? Hurt him? Jealous because my pupil is better than both of yours combined. Orochimaru said from behind Jiraiya. Oh please Orochi team. Naruko and Menma are way stronger than this brat is. Jiraiya boasted. Orochimaru took the sword away from Jiraiya's throat and walked next to Naruto. If that's true, then why did neither the toads nor the slugs not choose them for summoners? They weren't worthy. And snakes are hard to prove your worth to, and Naruto did it in less than a minute. Jiraiya glared at Orochimaru before he smirked. Fine. We'll have a spar between the three. Naruko and Menma versus Naruto. Orochimaru was about to protest about it being unfair until Naruto spoke up. Deal. Let's set up some stakes, shall we? If I win... He pondered for a second before smiling. I get the tails of chakra from the Kyuubi from them. Jiraiya widened. Absolutely not, he yelled. Orochimaru smirked. Why not Jiraiya? Aren't you confident that those two can beat Naruto-kun? Orochimaru said. Jiraiya smirked. Fine. I agree to your bet, but if you lose, he thought, you have to forgive you family. Give up your eyes and move in with them. Naruto replied without hesitation. Deal, he said. But before we do this, I need to ask the kids and Minato if they want to, okay? Jiraiya said with a hint of kindness. Naruto nodded before walking off. Come in, Uncle Orochi, we have training to do. 1 week later, Naruto was on the training ground with almost the whole Uchiha compound behind him along with Hiruzen and Orochimaru. Naruto-kun, you don't have to do this, Satsuki said in a worried tone. Naruto shook his head. Yes, I do. If I don't... He glanced at her. I may regret it for the rest of my life. This is to show them that I did fine without them. She gave him a hug. Don't lose. He kissed the top of her head, making her blush and a lot of awes from the crowd. I won't, he assured her. He had been training with Orochimaru and Itachi with a lot of shadow clones. His kenjutsu also started, but all he could do with the blade was defend and send out a couple of wind jutsus. Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, Menma, Naruko, and Tsunade walked onto the training grounds. Menma and Naruko had smirks along with Tsunade and Jiraiya. They had trained all week with the tails of chakra they had and nothing else. Naruto knew this, which disappointed him greatly because he knew that a shinobi shouldn't rely on one weapon. Naruto walked up to the middle of the training ground. Menma and Naruko walked up to the middle to meet him. Ready to forfeit those eyes and come back home, brother? Naruko asked with a smirk. Naruto shook his head, his face showing no emotion. I will not lose here today. You will. And I will take those tails of chakra from you, he said stoically like Itachi usually did when he sparred with him. Why do you want the tails? What is your plan? Naruto then smirked. None of your concern. Now, may we dance? He looked over at the proctor of the match, which was Minato. Rules: no killing or maiming, Minato declared as he got a nod from the three. Ready, go, he shouted. Naruto immediately activated his Sharingan, which earned gasp from the bystanders. No one knew of Naruto's Sharingan except for a select few because they wanted to keep it a secret until he became Genin. Naruko and Menma both got on all fours and started generating the tails of chakra as their looks became more feral. You're coming home with us, Menma and Naruko shouted as they charged up a Rasengan before dashing towards Naruto. Naruto stood there with his arms crossed, not even looking a bit fazed. As they got closer, Naruto smirked before he blew up. A shadow clone that blows up? Nice. Itachi must have taught you that, Orochimaru thought. On the other side of the field stood Naruto. So that's the Rasengan, huh? So it's just a ball of swirling chakra, he said aloud before making a tiny Rasengan. Like this. Minato and Jiraiya were dumbfounded. It took nearly 5 months for Naruko and Menma to learn that, and Naruto learns it just from observation. Naruko and Menma then recovered from the explosion and charged Naruto before Naruto made some hand signs. Wood release. Double wood dragon technique, he yelled, earning several more gasps. Tsunade had her mouth hanging from her jaw. She didn't actually believe her sensei when he said Naruto had Mokutan, but now she was seeing it firsthand. 2 dragons made of wood crashed out of the ground and snaked their way towards the two Jinchuriki and wrapped them up in wood. successfully suppressing their tailed beast chakra. The 4 tails started fading from the siblings' bodies and Naruto walked to them in a mockingly slow way. Do you see why I was so confident? I have 2 things that can subdue a tailed beast, including a Jinchuriki. You're nothing special. And you're nothing without the beast's chakra. He made a shadow clone and tossed it a kunai. The 2 walked up to the restricted 2 and held their kunai to their throats. You lose, he whispered. Minato couldn't believe it. His son and daughter were beaten when they were in their 4-tailed mode. Was all that training for 13 years not worth it? He sighed. Winner, Naruto, Uchiha, he said in a depressed tone. The Uchiha clan cheered wildly. Naruto turned to Minato and Jiraiya. It is unwise to rely on one weapon, is it not? I expect those tails sealed into me by the end of tomorrow. Minato nodded sadly before Naruto undid his wood dragon. Menma snarled before lunging at Naruto. Naruto expertly dodged before grabbing Menma by the back of his head and slamming it onto the ground. This is the pecking order now, Naruto growled, sending tons of Ki in the air. The dirt, the worms in the dirt, you, your family, the village. Okay, I'm your superior, he yelled into Menma's ear. Naruto, that's enough, Minato shouted. Naruto released Menma and glared at Minato before storming off the training field, leaving everyone shocked. Naruto never had an outburst like that in public. Satsuki looked at her mother, asking a silent question before Mikoto nodded. Satsuki ran towards the forest that Naruto had stormed off into. 5 minutes later, gore, Naruto growled as he punched the tree again. The poor tree had many dents in it, but Naruto was starting not to care. He was frustrated. The nerve of Menma, the nerve of that family, he thought. He punched the tree again until he heard a bush rustle behind them. He drew his sword and turned around slowly, only to see Satsuki standing there. His eyes softened at the sight of her. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? She asked, concern lacing her voice. Naruto sighed and forced himself to calm down for her sake. I'm just frustrated at them. They tried to take me away from you guys, my real family. Satsuki smiled softly before walking up to Naruto and kissing him on the cheek before hugging him. Thank you for not losing. I don't know where I'd be without you, she whispered. Naruto tightened his grip on her. Same here, Satsuki-chan. Same here. Next day, Naruto was exhausted. The ceiling of 8 tails inside of him was just physically and mentally taxing. He'd be lucky if he'd be able to walk. Well, the tails are now sealed into you, Minato stated, proud of his work. Menma and Naruko tried to fight to keep their tails, but Minato ordered them, saying they promised. They did so, but not after complaining a few hundred times. They were unconscious at the moment. The extraction of the tails put them in a coma-like state, but they would wake up in an hour or 2. Naruto stood up with help of Orochimaru. Thanks, Hokage-sama. You may have abandoned me, but so far, you're my favorite out of your family. Minato fought the urge to jump up and down in joy. Naruto smiled weakly. Well, Naruto, if you ever need help controlling the Kyuubi, you know where to find me, Minato said before grabbing Menma and Naruko and shining away. Orochimaru rose an eyebrow. Forgiving? Naruto shook his head. Not even close. I'm just saying he's done the least of bad things out of all of them. That's it, Naruto said before he fell unconscious. Orochimaru smiled and picked Naruto up and walked out of the secluded area towards the Uchiha compound. 2 months after spar. Hokage-sama, can we please get a C rank or something? I'm tired of these measly chores that the civilians could do. Plus, whenever I do something for them, they always say I'm doing it wrong while I'm doing the same thing the others are doing, Naruto said, complaining. Irika and Minato gave him a sympathetic look. They knew the villagers' hate was never going to go down, even though he was not the demon.
Does Kakashi approve?
He asked, looking at his former student. Kakashi nodded. They were ready the first day, but I was waiting for them to ask. Everyone in the room sweat dropped at Kakashi's statement except for Sai. Are you serious? Naruto yelled. I out to take your porn and burn it right in front of you. Kakashi's eye widened. No, Naruto, no need to be hasty. I can change, he said frantically. Minato sweat dropped seeing Kakashi's frantic begging. Naruto crossed his arms. You're fine. for now. But you'd best not be late for this C rank. Kakashi nodded, immediately agreeing with Naruto that he wouldn't be late. Minato looked at the list of C ranks available and found one suitable. Okay, Team 7. Your mission is to guard the bridge builder Tsunade. He walked over to the door and opened it. Come on in, Tsunade, and meet your protectors. Minato called. An old man with gray hair and glasses with a piece of white rope tied around his head with the lace sticking out walked in with a bottle of sake in his hand. He looked over the group. This is my protection? They look like wimps, especially the pale boy with black hair. Naruto and Sai looked at each other. Sai was paler than Naruto, but both were still pale in their own way. Naruto then spoke up. Which one? Tsunade rose an eyebrow before pointing at Naruto. Tsunade went to drink his sake, but it was no longer in his hand. He looked around to see Naruto holding it. This sake looks good, doesn't it, Tsunade-san? Too bad. Naruto walked over to a plant in the corner of the room and poured the sake in it. Sorry, but it's ninja policy, so you can't drink till you're safe. He's fast. Tsunade thought. What do you mean till I'm safe? I'm safe right now, aren't I? Satsuki shook her head and laughed. You just made fun of Naruto-kun. You are not safe until you're in your own house. Tsunade turned to Naruto, who was grinning like a madman. Tsunade inwardly cringed before he bowed. I apologize, Shinobi-san. I shouldn't have insulted your skills. Satsuki watched in awe. This man just bowed to Naruto and wasn't forced to do it. Naruto himself was shocked. He then blushed with embarrassment. Don't do that. It makes me uncomfortable. Naruto said shyly. Kakashi, I smiled before he started speaking. Meet me at the village gates in an hour. He was about to leave when Naruto spoke up. Kakashi and I. Isn't Itachi and I coming with us? Kakashi shook his head no. Itachi was on a mission taking out a missing nin from IWA. Name was Deidara or something. No, sorry Naruto. He was sent out on a mission yesterday. Minato said with a small frown. Naruto frowned as well. He's been doing more missions lately. Naruto muttered before following Satsuki and Sai out the door. An hour later, is everyone here? Tsunade asked. Kakashi nodded his head before he started walking out the village. Naruto took a deep breath before he walked along with Kakashi with Satsuki and Sai and following quickly. Another hour later, another one. Naruto was talking to Satsuki while Kakashi butted in sometimes and teased the two, which would ultimately end with him begging them not to burn their books. Sai and Tsunade walked silently, but Tsunade seemed to move normally while Sai seemed like he was being controlled. Naruto and Kakashi noticed a puddle on the ground and Naruto, being Naruto, decided to play around a little bit. Oh, puddle. I like puddles. Remember how I like puddles, Satsuki-chan? Satsuki gave him a questioning look before she saw how he tensed up and gave her a look that told her that danger was ahead. She slyly put her hand in her kunai pouch and grabbed a couple kunai. Naruto ran up and jumped in the puddle a few times before he stomped on it. Tsunade looked at Naruto like he was insane, but hey, maybe he was. Naruto stomped on the puddle one last time before he stepped out of it and kept walking. After around 5 seconds, chains bursted out of the puddle and wrapped around Kakashi and ripped him to shreds. Satsuki and Sai immediately ran towards Tsunade and guarded him from the two. One down, one of them said. He charged Naruto. Two down. He smirked. Naruto quickly went through some hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. He yelled as the flames overtook the missing nin, burning him to a crisp. The other one looked at Naruto wide-eyed. You killed my brother. I'll kill you. He screamed with rage. Naruto took out his sword and blocked the incoming claw and then backflipped a little to put some distance between the two. Naruto activated his Sharingan and made eye contact with the missing nin and used a genjutsu to put him to sleep. The nin dropped to the ground, unconscious. Good job, Naruto. You took those two down and left one for interrogation. Kakashi said as he stepped out behind a tree. You did good to Satsuki and Sai. You guarded the client. Satsuki nodded at the praise while Sai looked indifferent. Naruto dragged the assassin to tree and tied him up with the assassin's own chains he tried to use to kill them. He then promptly woke him up with a quick but hard slap on the face. Wake up, bitch, he yelled. Satsuki threw a can at Naruto out of nowhere and it hit its target.
No cursing.
Naruto rubbed the back of his head and shot a glare at Satsuki.
I'm grown.
He muttered before slapping the assassin again. I said, wake up, bitch. Naruto was promptly hit by another can. Ow, Fudash, he saw Satsuki raised another can. Fudge! Satsuki smiled at him and nodded. Naruto wiped a bead of sweat that was hanging on his forehead and quickly looked at the assassin who was now awake. What do you want? The missing nin spat out. Naruto just smiled at him. I want information, and you're going to give it to me, right? The assassin laughed. Like the hell I would. It's not like you could do anything, shrimp. Naruto then smiled sadistically. In another universe, Naruto was snuggled up next to Anko in her bed before he saw her smile sadistically in her sleep before she muttered some words. That's my Narukoan. Always scaring the shit out of people. Naruto slowly tried to get away before she gripped him tightly.
Oh, Kami.
Back to this universe. I think I can get the info out of you. You see, my villagers taught me some nasty things to me when I was little and some did it not too long ago. I remember what they did too. I can show you if you want. Naruto said, smiling the same smile again. Sure. Whatever, kid. You can dash. He was cut off by a kunai being embedded in his hands. He howled in pain before Naruto took it out. Sure about that? That's what happened when I was 6. I can show you another thing. Naruto spoke in a low whisper. The assassin shivered at the cold tone in his voice. Naruto had the man right where he wanted him. So, you gonna tell me? Or do I have to show you some more things? Gozu, the assassin, was now pissing his pants like a little girl that was scared by a monster. Fine, fine, I'll tell you. He screamed from the pressure, hoping to relieve some. Naruto smiled. Then spill. 10 minutes later, Kakashi and I, should I kill him? He could be a hindrance to our mission in the near future. Naruto said, looking at Kakashi's usually stoic face and trying to ignore the shock on Satsuki's. So this is his dark side. Scary. Kakashi and Satsuki thought while Sai studied Naruto. He seems to have some darkness in his heart. He also seems really strong if that training session didn't prove it. No wonder Danzo-sama wanted me to join this team. Naruto, do? Kakashi paused before he began again. Do you want to kill this man? I mean, we shouldn't even have to do this mission since it's beyond a C rank now. Naruto shook his head. I don't want to kill him, but I will continue this mission, and he might be in the way and complicate things when it comes to protecting the old man. Tazuna let out a sigh of relief from hearing what Naruto had said. Please don't kill me. I won't even go back to Gato or anyone. Please, Gozu begged. Naruto thought about it for a second before he came up with an idea. Fine. Only if you help us protect Tazuna, Naruto stated. Gozu thought of it for a second before nodding. Why not? If it helps him save his life, then he should do it, right? Naruto smiled at the man before untying him. Welcome to the team. For now, that is, Naruto said. Satsuki let out a breath she didn't notice she'd been holding, relieved that Naruto didn't want to kill the man that tried to kill them. Kakashi looked over at Tazuna. You're lucky that Naruto over here is capable of many things, including protecting his comrades. If he wasn't, we would have left back to Konoha the moment the 2 missing nin showed up. Tazuna looked at the ground in shame. He knew that lying was wrong, but his country didn't have enough money to pay for an A-rank mission. Tazuna then proceeded to explain why he is building the bridge and why they had less money because of monopoly named Gato Industries that wants to keep him from building the bridge. Kakashi and we have to complete this mission. 1, it's the right thing to do. 2, it won't help the Leaf Village at all if that bridge isn't built because word will get out that we didn't help and they might go to other villages for help. Kakashi was surprised by his student/little brother. His logic was once again impenetrable. He sighed inwardly. I guess we can go on, since we do have an extra set of hands, he said, smiling with his eye closed. Naruto smiled at him and waved his hand. Come on then, I see a boat over there, he said before pointing to a barely noticeable boat, and mist was surrounding it like ducks with bread. They got on the boat quietly and waited patiently for the man who owned the boat to cross the channel quietly. Why is Kakashi and so dumb? Naruto whined at the dining room table courtesy of Satsuki. Naruto rubbed his head. Ouch! Geez, Satsuki-chan. It's not my fault he had to fight Zabuza team by himself. He ordered me to. Satsuki hit him on the head again, much to his frustration. Be respectful. We are in another person's house. What would Kazan think about you being rude? She yelled/whispered. Naruto instantly paled in remembrance of the horrors of manners Makoto Uchiha drilled into his head. They were currently at Tezuna's house where his daughter, Tsunade, was currently cooking some lunch for the trio while Kakashi laid in bed due to his fight with Zabuza. Here you go, you three, Tsunade said as she came back in the dining room with a tray with 4 plates with sandwiches. She set one out for each of the 3 genin and one in an empty seat. Inari, she called. Time for lunch. Sasuke and Naruto started eating their respective lunch while Sai just sat there and studied the two like they were animals at zoo. Naruto finished his sandwich right when Kakashi walked in with a pair of crutches supporting him. Hey guys, he said plainly as he closed his eye in a smile that you could see from the outline of his mask. Naruto glared at Kakashi. Kakabaka, you wanted to fight Zabuza alone while we just watched you get. No offense. Get your ass handed to you. Naruto growled out. Kakashi started sweating along with the rest of the group as Naruto sent Ki at him, making a shiver crawl up his spine. Heh! Well, he paused as he glanced at the group cautiously. Let's go train for when Zabuza comes back, eh? Satsuki spit out the water she had in her mouth while Naruto rose an eyebrow and Sai kept his emotionless face on. Kakashi-sensei, what do you mean Zabuza is still alive? Satsuki asked in a slightly shaky voice. Kakashi sighed before explaining. When I was laying in bed, I thought back to the fight and about the hunter Nin. Now usually, no one really uses senbon needles unless they are trying to hit a certain nerve or transfer a type of poison. But when I saw the needles, they weren't laced with anything and the nerves the hunter Nin struck was where you usually chop someone's neck to knock them out fast. So I concluded that the hunter Nin put Zabuza in a death-like state. He explained. I suspected that too, but I wasn't sure until now. Naruto muttered as he stood up. Okay, Kakashi-sensei, let's get some training done. He punched the air before the 3 genin followed Kakashi out the door. A couple minutes later in a forest. Okay guys, we're doing tree walking today. All you have to do is apply an even amount of chakra to the soles of your feet and climb the tree and... He was cut off as both Naruto and Sai had already made it up the tree with ease. For Naruto, that's no surprise, but Sai, that's a little fishy. Fish. Kakashi thought before he looked at Satsuki expectantly. Satsuki had her head down before muttering a few words that no one got. What was that? Kakashi said, eyeing Satsuki. Satsuki looked annoyed as she looked up at him and sighed. I don't know how to do that yet, she said heatedly. That's pathetic. I thought you were an Uchiha prodigy like Naruto. Guess I thought wrong. Sai said in a mocking voice before he was knocked off the tree by a branch that came from nowhere. Naruto then whistled innocently and walked down the tree slowly and stood next to Satsuki, who gave him a fist bump. Okay Satsuki, you practice tree climbing, and Naruto? Follow me. Sai. Perfect your drawings? The 3 of them nodded. Kakashi made a shadow clone to observe Satsuki's climbing, while he and Naruto walked off to a different part of the forest. Okay Naruto, this technique I'm going to show you is going to take a lot of concentration. You are allowed to use your Sharingan to help learn this, since it can be quite chakra taxing, okay? Naruto nodded his head. Okay, this technique is called Chidori. Several hours later, Kaka-sensei, Naruto panted as he leaned on the tree completely exhausted. You weren't lying when you said it was chakra taxing. Kakashi chuckled at his surrogate little brother before he ruffled his hair. You should never doubt me. Now come on. The others are already at the house eating dinner. They quickly went to the house and greeted everyone before they sat down and started eating. Satsuki-chan, did you master the exercise? Naruto asked. Satsuki nodded but couldn't speak due to her mouth being full of the dumplings that Tsunade made. Naruto then turned to Sai. Getting a hang of those drawing things, Sai?
Sai nodded.
Yes, thank you for asking. Naruto's eyes widened slightly, surprised that Sai responded to him in such a manner. He was usually a total prick. Well, I'm learning a new move. Did you know that Kakashi and I can actually do something besides walk, talk, and read his book? Satsuki mocked gasped. Really? What did he do? Naruto chuckled while Kakashi looked at the ground in embarrassment. He's teaching me his signature move, Chidori. I haven't gotten it down yet, but I'm getting there. By the time Zabuza is up and running, I should be able to use it. He explained until a small yet slightly angry voice spoke up. Why do you even fight? You can't beat Gato, he's too strong. You're no hero. Heroes don't exist. The little boy said. Naruto turned around and saw a boy with a hat on with blue overalls. Naruto laughed. Gato is weak. Trust me, if he had to hire Zabuza to kill Tsunade, then he's weak. His only strength is money. Besides, everyone is a hero in their own way. Naruto said. The little boy, Inari, grew angry and started yelling. How would you know? You stupid ninja live lavish lives and don't do anything hard. You just sit around and then act like you're string until you're killed. You don't know what it's like to suffer, he yelled. Naruto froze and the room temperature went down several degrees. Oh shit, nice knowing you, kid. Satsuki and Kakashi thought at the same time. Naruto put all of the hatred and sadness into a ball before pushing it out with the Ki he was now spreading like a wildfire. Suffering? Suffering? Naruto growled out. Everyone in the room was now sweating and on their knees struggling to breathe. What would I know about suffering? He yelled. Tell me, kid. Have you ever had a kunai stabbed into your stomach multiple times and then twisted around? Have you ever been pinned to a concrete wall when you were 6 years old with a bunch of weapons? Did you almost get skinned alive? Did you get beat up almost every week of your life when you were 4? He roared. Inari shook his already shaking head. Then don't you dare say I don't know what suffering is, Naruto yelled. Naruto took a deep breath before taking his Ki back in. I need to release some steam, he whispered to the group before he stormed out of the house. Tsunade looked over at Kakashi. Was all those things he said true? Kakashi shook his head much to her relief before his reply shook her to the core. He only gave you guys the sugar-coated summary of it. It was a lot worse, he whispered as guilt flooded his system. You killed her, Naruto whispered as he held Satsuki's body, which was covered in needles. You killed her. He slowly brushed the hair out of her face as tears ran down his. You killed her, you bastard, he screamed as he gently set her down, a whirlwind of red chakra consuming him. The masked boy in the ice eyes widened as he watched the blonde change before him. His fingernails grew sharp and his teeth grew more sharp. The chakra felt so deadly and poisonous. Felt evil. Naruto ran on all fours and punched straight through the ice and knocking the boy flat on his ass into the bridge railing, making a big crack in it. When Tsunade saw this, he wasn't worried about the bridge. Oh no, he was worried about the boy. He put a crack in stone. Naruto, in his fit of rage, charged the masked boy and punched his arm right through his chest. The boy smiled beneath his mask. Sorry, Zabuza-sama. I'm just a worthless tool now, he thought before he fell limp, dead. Naruto looked over at Zabuza. You brought him here. You made him kill her, he yelled before charging up a Chidori and charging Zabuza, who was currently being held by Kakashi's summon dogs. What? No, I can't die yet, Zabuza cried out, only to be silenced by a Chidori hitting him in the heart. Naruto's eyes were still blood red, a mix of the fox chakra and his Sharingan. Kakashi's eye widened at Naruto's brutal execution of Zabuza. Naruto started calming down as his eyes turned back to their normal black and the red chakra seemed to disappear. And Naruto? Kakashi asked in a questioning manner. Naruto silently walked away from the body of Zabuza and sat down next to Satsuki, grabbing her head and placing it on his lap as he played with her hair, tears streaming down his face. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he choked out a sob. She wasn't supposed to die. Kakashi and Tsunade looked at Naruto with pity-filled eyes. Naruto's head shot up when they heard a large clapping sound coming from the opposite end of the bridge. Thank you, Leaf Ninja. I was gonna kill them anyway. More money for me. Now I'm gonna kill you and take that girl with me. She may be dead, but she'll still please me for a day or two, Gato said with a smug smile. Goodbye, Gato. Good riddance, was the thought going through Kakashi's head. Naruto stood up slowly before he unsheathed his sword and pulled out a kunai. He activated his Sharingan and slowly walked towards the small army. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to destroy you. You will be a puddle when I'm done with you, Naruto said as his hair covered his eyes. It's only one boy. Get him, Gato shouted while pointing at Naruto. Red chakra swirled around Naruto's feet as he met eye to eye with Gato. You will die here, on this bridge, right now, Naruto said before he charged the army. 2 minutes later, Naruto stood in a pool of blood of what was previously Gato. Dead bodies either littered the water below them or the bridge. Naruto himself was covered in blood. The army had been massacred. Kakashi walked over to Satsuki's body only to notice a needle in her neck. He quickly grabbed the needle and pulled it out of her neck. Satsuki sat straight up and took a lungful of air. She sat there for a minute before looking around and seeing Naruto standing in a puddle of blood.
Naruto-kun.
She whispered. Naruto whirled around and saw Satsuki alive and well. Satsuki-chan. He whispered before he looked around him, tears welling in his eyes before he collapsed onto his knees. Satsuki struggled to get up, but was determined to reach him. Even if she had to crawl, she eventually got there and hugged him tightly, pulling his head to her shoulder as he sobbed freely into her shirt, getting it slightly wet. I killed them all. All of them, he choked out. She ran her fingers through his black hair and kissed the top of his head. We're ninjas. This is what we do. If not them, then we would have died. Naruto just continued to cry, but that was a massacre.
Ima monster. Arente I.
He said before he was jerked forward and forced to look into her eyes. If I ever, and I mean ever, hear you say those words, she whispered, I will slap you so goddamn hard, your Sharingan will never activate again. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before he nodded. Satsuki smiled and hugged him again. Kakashi and Tazuna watched with a small smile, tugging their lips at the scene while Sai looked emotionless as always. Might as well clean this up, eh? Kakashi said with a slight sigh. Tazuna could only nod. Wondering where to start was on his mind right now. Couple days later. Bye guys! Naruto and Satsuki shouted in unison as they walked across the now finished and clean bridge. They seemed happy and relieved that they could now leave that place. So many problems had come up by just being there, so they wanted to get as far away as possible. As the group of ninjas left, Tazuna looked at the four in the distance. We should name the bridge the Great Tazuna Bridge. Everyone? Tazuna joked. He was shot down by boos before Tsunami spoke up. We should name it the Great Naruto Bridge, since he was the one to free our country of Gato's reign if terror. Everyone cheered or nodded in agreement. Tazuna smiled at his daughter and grandson, happy they were finally happy. The Great Naruto Bridge it is then. I hope you guys like the story. Comment down below when you want the next part. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Legacy signing off.